Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, my friends. Today it's a little Saturday morning React-TOONS with Robotech. Where last did we leave Robotech? Well, the SDF-1, in a desperate attempt to try to outflank the Zentradi armada that was attacking Earth, decided to execute a risky spacefold jump. It's I guess, part like hyperspace jump, part like teleportation. They were planning to jump to the blind side or the dark side of the moon and there get the drop on the armada, but much like the rest of the alien tech, it didn't work, or it didn't do what it was supposed to do. It wasn't as advertised. And they ended up jumping to Pluto. And so now, after having jumped the SDF-1 and most of Macross Island and the support ships and some of the enemy themselves, kind of scooped them up and threw them to the edge of our solar system. And that, my friends, is where we are. Can't wait to get into it, enjoying the heck out of this. Great story, great characters. Again, this is the one 80s cartoon that kind of got away from me, but now I'm making amends for the past. So my friends, if you could hit that like button, smash the subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications, you'll be alerted anytime we go live on YouTube with any Saturday morning React-TOONS, Star Trek, science fiction, anything, you'll be alerted. And my friends, if you'd like anything that we have early or in a longer format, the link to our Patreon is in the description. But my friends, that is then and this is now, and now it is time for Robotech Season 1, Episode 4, The Long Wait. Well, we don't have to wait much longer, because we're going in right now. Prepare to engage maximum warp reaction. And away we go. I said it before, but I'll say it again. I like the fanfare, and I really like the intro graphics. I know there, more time was spent on these, but for a good purpose and for a good reason. They look great. I also said I'd love to know how, obviously something tells me they're going to lose pilots in the Veritex because of, war. So I'm assuming that's when they start conscripting from the civilian population. That's when Rick is going to get brought into the fold of Veritech fighters. I'm kind of curious to see how that plays out. But according to also what they said, as long as you can fly, flying is the biggest component of being able to use a Veritech. The rest of it seems to be more intuitive than anything else. Sammy, Claudia, Lisa. Who's the person on the bridge with the glasses?
Captain Global, attempting to use an untested Robotech device, inadvertently causes a disaster.
I don't understand why any of this was untested.
All into deep space orbit near the planet Pluto.
Because shit like this happens.
They're aircraft carriers. They weren't built for outer space. What a catastrophe.
Yeah, those people are dead.
Commander Hayes, order a squadron of rescue vehicles to bring the carriers alongside the ship.
Technically, they could be in some sealed bulkhead somewhere, but...
All those lives lost and property destroyed. How could I have been so stupid? We will have to get those shelters on board and begin salvaging at once.
Global, I'd like to stick up for you, but you did, get into an orbit above Macross Island before you jumped.
Rick feels their only chance of survival depends on getting his fighter back into flying condition.
Again, I said this before, but I'll say it now. Why not maybe radio somebody?
Rick, you'll never get that to move. Why don't we see if we can get some help by using the radio on your plane?
Min-May and I.
Hey, what have you got there?
A gyro compass.
Oh, but I thought a compass had two arms that go back and forth.
Huh?
Condescending Rick Hunter.
With this kind of compass, we'll be able to make our way back to the plane if we get lost inside this big old ship and can't find our way out.
Rick, you're busting on Min-May. She hasn't said a word about the neckerchief yet.
Ow!
You okay?
Oh, I'm all right. It was just a little hot.
Well, now that was pretty dumb.
Sorry.
Yeah. Ow!
What was that again?
Yeah, Rick.
But I'm telling you, Rick is out there somewhere. I can't just abandon him, you know?
Now listen, you can't just leave your post anytime you feel like it.
Officer Grant,
Yeah, there's stuff going on, Roy.
Commander Fokker, Global, your request is denied. I'm sorry to hear about your friend, but we have over 70,000 civilian survivors.
70,000.
Aye, aye, Captain, whatever you say. I'm sure that 70,000 civilians are a whole lot more important than my friend. Over and out, sir.
A lot of back talk in this military.
Maybe there's a doorway at the top that's open that leads to the hallway. Thank you. leads to the out.
Thank you.
I could be home for dinner.
Minmay sounds like Alice in Wonderland. I could be home for dinner.
For those huge aliens. I hope they don't come back.
Well,
God, what?
Oh, Rick, look at that.
ooh,
I don't know. Where did all that come from?
a major, major F up.
The captain had to use that hyperspace fold.
We've got over 70,000 survivors on board, and we've lost communication with Earth.
Okay, no communication with Earth.
Commander Hayes, RX-24 Block Sector Command Post Leader wishes to speak with you.
Coming. Oh, brother.
Some coffee break.
Well, I mean, there's a massive humanitarian disaster.
Of course, I'm so stupid. Why didn't I think of this sooner? You know, we're surrounded by water.
Assuming it's pure and not like contaminated with something.
Ta-da! I believe Madame requested some water. Refreshments coming up.
Technically, if you can damage something without killing yourself, it might alert the bridge.
Hey, look, we got it. It's a geyser.
Huh? Oh.
That's not water. It's sulfuric acid.
Did you say a shower?
Sure, I might as well take advantage of this while it lasts.
Rick, for God's sakes. I'm also going to need some ages.
Yeah! Don't worry, Min May. I'm coming. What happened? Don't worry.
Thought I saw some.
Just your imagination?
Sure.
Well, Minmay, what's going on here? This cat and mouse shit during a wartime is not the best idea.
I brought you some fresh clothes. It's an extra work suit that I found in my plane.
Boy, that shower is just what I needed.
I brought some emergency rations. Here, this one's for you.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, it's pretty good, Rick.
Shouldn't we be careful how much we eat in case we have to make it last?
Yeah, Rick, you could be down here for like 6 months.
We'll be out of here soon.
Cut to.
I used to be a junior nature scout.
Oh, okay, well, that should translate well into a spaceship.
Hey, what's so funny? I was sick the day they were testing. At least I know what a compass looks like.
Well, so does she.
I'm really worried about my family.
Don't get upset. I'm sure they're safe in the shelters.
That are currently floating around Pluto.
No, there was a shelter right next door to our house.
Well, there you go.
They should be good.
I'm really sorry, Rick. From now on, I promise I'll listen to you.
In that case,
Or listen to yourself and take his advice as much as you want.
so if you want to sleep, well, I'll be darned. It didn't take her very long, did it?
Well, the good news is if there are mice here, it's something to eat.
He has no idea of the ordeal that awaits them, or how close they both will come to death.
Jesus.
What are you doing?
I'm keeping a record of how many days we've been stranded here. See ya.
It was a brand new paint job.
Dude, you're going to need a new paint job regardless of whether or not she makes some additional scratches on it.
I don't suppose much else can go wrong today.
Stop moving, Rick.
By making stew, we can make our supplies last longer.
This is an interesting little trick. If they keep them down here and focus the story on them, they can fast forward everything that's happening in space around them. I like that.
Well, I study acting, singing, and dancing. Here.
Thanks.
Minmay's a triple threat.
5 days have now gone by.
5.
Can you believe they're rebuilding the city inside the ship? It's amazing.
You can leave the tray right there, Steward, and thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
That looks good.
Well, it sounds like they have plenty of food.
We finally have them divided by city blocks. They're starting to rebuild their neighborhoods.
Really, that's incredible.
That is incredible.
No luck, huh? Why don't you rest?
I just don't know what else to do.
Well, you're doing the best you can.
That's our way out of here. We'll leave through an airlock down here and get in from one above.
We can't do that. We don't have any spacesuits.
I was going to say, yeah, do you have suits?
I could float out, get some help, come back down here for you. It's a simple plan.
And if you die, she's dead.
Without oxygen tanks, though, Rick, then how are you going to breathe?
I'll just have to hold my breath for a little while.
This is a terrible idea.
Like diving in the ocean.
Wait a minute. I'm having second thoughts.
It's because you're intelligent, Minmay.
A tuna, but it's huge.
That sure is a big tuna fish.
Real big.
Yeah, bring it in. There is just no way this would work. That is a hell of a big fish. Yeah, close it, close it, close it.
Well, at least I got the tuna back in. Some of it, anyway.
Oh, you got the head.
My suit got ripped when our dinner fell on me as I was trying to get it back in through the airlock.
Probably saved your life. If you try that again, you're dead.
We've used up nearly all our rocket fuel.
How much?
Look. That's all we have left.
Oh.
12 days come and go.
12.
And so I practiced real hard and came back to win the amateur flying competition 8 times in a row, even though I was flying an old clunker.
Oh, you're the best, Rick.
To be in love, my hero, he must take me where no other can.
Min-Mei breaking it down into a song.
You've got a beautiful voice.
Thank you, Rick. If I could do one thing with my life, I want to sing.
I'm gonna be a singer.
So are you sure that being an entertainer is what you want from life?
Yes? I guess.
Well, how would she know, bud? She wants to try.
Get out of here!
Follow them. They're getting here somehow.
We'll live our entire lives here in this ship. I'll never know what it's like to walk down the aisle as a bride.
Min-Mei,
What?
you will. I'll help you.
How are you going to do that?
Let's prioritize some things too, Min-Mei.
Then let me borrow your scarf. This might be the only veil I ever get to wear in my life.
The neckerchief is now conveniently white instead of green.
Well, I guess I should be the groom, huh? Okay.
It's actually a really interesting episode. It's a smart device.
You know what's really going to happen? We're never going to get out of here. There's no chance.
Well, you're still alive and healthy, and everybody's in relatively good shape, so...
Kiss me, Rick.
If you want.
Love in the time of Zentradi.
It's the mayor. We've been saved.
Hold on now. Here we go. Hold on.
Nice job. They've been busy in 12 days.
As you can see, my boy, the entire city's been moved intact. It's quite an achievement. You've got to tell us how you and Min-Mei got trapped way down there.
So did the city basically stay intact when it teleported or space folded? I mean, I guess that makes sense. Anything structurally destroyed could be abandoned, but...
Well, my boy, you must be one happy fella.
Well, it wasn't until you broke my vertebrae, but...
Andy was confused by Min-Mei's attitude towards him. She seemed so distant now. Below, things had been very different.
Well, she thought she was going to die.
Their safe existence back on Earth will be long forgotten as they face an enemy determined to capture their vessel.
It's a really cool device to show the passage of time. We have just watched Robotech Season 1, Episode 4, The Long Wait. And the only thing we have left to do is to talk about it. All right, my friends, we just got done watching Robotech Season 1, Episode 4, The Long Wait. Plagued by some tech issues in this one, but other than that, I thought it was a very interesting episode because the device here was simply, they didn't want to, it looks to me like the writers had a choice. They could show what was going on the SDF-1 proper, you know, and kind of show the, I guess, the rescue efforts that were at play in space and, you know, over the 12-day period of where they tried to kind of like get everything together, you know, kind of batten down the hatches, bring all the civilians aboard, blah, blah, blah. Or they did what they did, which was to focus the story on Rick and Min-Mei inside the SDF-1. It did a couple of things, which I thought they were very smart approaches. One, it spoke of the immense size of the SDF-1. They were in a section of the ship that, you know, Rick had traveled, you know, you can only assume like a half-day travel in any direction. He couldn't get anywhere. He couldn't, you know, he couldn't find anybody. It was completely empty. Even though it had life support, it was basically like a big closet with all those broken pieces. There's plenty of room aboard the SDF-1, plenty. So assuming that these 70,000, you know, citizens from Macross Island were brought aboard, if the rest of the ship is any indication, or the small cross-section that we saw where Rick and Min-Mei were, they should have plenty of space. I would like to know, I don't think that they'll tell us this, but, you know, there was a mention of the loss of life, especially on the 2 aircraft carriers. One of them is called Daedalus. I think they said the other one was Prometheus. I'm not, Daedalus I heard. I did not hear the other one, though. Those people, you know, the naval officers or the naval personnel that were on those ships, they were seafaring vessels and they were brought into space. I cannot imagine there was a high, if any, survival rate on either of those. A lot of people lost there. A lot of people lost that were in the city and not in a sealed kind of bunker. It sounds like a lot of the people were okay. They got to them enough. 70,000 seems like a big number, so we'll see. Yeah, so it really, this whole episode was more of a, we need to get from here to there, and we need to do it in a way that is, with animation too. This was a cost-cutting maneuver here. They can basically tell us what they did. Oh, the city's been rebuilt inside. Didn't have to show us. All of the rescue reclamation efforts from all of the debris around the SDF-1, that was taken care of. They told us about it, sort of, and didn't have to show us. So that was something they didn't have to animate. In addition to that, they were able to focus onto two characters for the most part, and Min-Mei and Rick. We had some Global and some of the command crew early, the call in by Roy, that type of stuff, but predominantly just those two. So, with those two in play, we got to learn a little bit more about them, very little more about them. I mean, Rick talks about himself constantly in the 8 amateur flying championships he won. We did find out Min-Mei's a bit of a triple threat. She's a singer, dancer, actress. So, and wants to sing for her life, and seems to have a bit of a pop voice too. So she was able to, treat us to a song down there. I think the most interesting thing that happened in this episode was the teaser for the next episode. And it had nothing to do with I'm kind of interested in the Min-Mei Rick dynamic right now. And Rick saying, well, now that we're out of this, or the voiceover, the narration saying, now that they're out of this, the attitude of Min-Mei towards him has changed. Well, dude, of course. You were in a life and death situation. She had no idea if her family was alive. Honestly, we don't really know how old Min-Mei is, which there's a couple things that have happened that I would, like I said before, ages would be nice right about now. She was able to, find her family. You can't assume that, Rick is somebody she literally just met and was thrown into this situation with. Of course, she's going to default back to the people that she knows as soon as she's out of this harrowing situation. So we'll see if this is Rick-born paranoia, or, and even if she doesn't like you, dude, or doesn't want to talk to you anymore, she literally just met you. Let's not, you guys were pretend getting married. You weren't really getting married. I'm not saying that to be too condescending towards Rick, but I think it says more about Rick. I think that if, let's say, Min-Mei doesn't want to pursue a relationship with him, or if that's what Rick's worried about, it says more about Rick, in that Rick may not have had any very long-term relationships. Again, I don't know how old Rick is, but he's an amateur flyer, and I can only assume he's very young, but he must not have had any long-term relationships either, if he's going to put so much emphasis on this time, these 12 days, 13 if you count the day they got into the ship, his craft, with Min-Mei. So, he either fell, ass over tea kettle for her, or he just doesn't really have a great grasp on his emotions, or, the idea of a relationship. I don't know, but I'm interested in that. I'm very interested in that, because I think I've mentioned it on prior reactions. I'm a big sucker for love in the time of cholera, where relationships blossom during the most trying of times. I like that. I like to see how they do that, because they're unique in their construction. They're always kind of unique into how, usually people that never would have come together in a air quote normal world, or find themselves kind of thrust together and realize they're a great match. We'll see. I don't know about Min-Mei and Rick. I'm just saying generally that's what you say. But anywho, I liked it quite a bit. And again, there's not too much to say with these shorter episodes, other than this one was a good transition episode, and it was a bit of a time jump. Learned a little bit about Rick and Min-Mei, and the rest of the stuff was taken care of with a hand wave and a couple lines of dialogue in the background. Good stuff, my friends. If you've stuck with me this long, please hit that like button, smash that subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications, and you too will be alerted the next time we go live here on YouTube with any Saturday morning React-TOONS, any Star Trek science, anything, you'll be alerted, my friends. And of course, if you want any of that earlier in a longer format, the link to our Patreon is in the description. There you will find all of the series episodes for all of the different Saturday morning React-TOONS, in addition to other Patreon exclusives, my friend. But that is then, and this is now. And right now, we've escaped from the bowels of the SDF-1, but danger still lurks in the form of a massive Zentradi armada that is somewhere in our solar system. Whether they're still at Earth or moving towards Pluto, we don't know, my friends. Until we find out, though, keep your chin up, practice your Veritech flying skills, and Vulcan roll. I'll see you next time.